Giant Death Ray is a new for 2024 Spirit Halloween animatronic. I picked this guy up on November 1st at the Spirit Halloween 50% off sale, which sadly makes him my final 2024 animatronic. Until Spirit inevitably drops the holiday release prop, and I'm forced to give them more of my money because Halloween never truly ends. Anyways, without any further ado, let's unbox and set up my last 2024 animatronic, Giant Death Ray. For everything scary, I'm GMHaunts, and welcome to yet another Halloween 2024 animatronic unboxing, setup, demo, and review video. Now, this unboxing is a little bit of a sad one because at the time of filming this video, the date is November 6th, 2024, which obviously means that Halloween has officially come and gone. The animatronic that we're going to be opening up today was actually the animatronic that I purchased on November 1st at the Spirit Halloween 50% off sale, because today's unboxing is of Giant Death Ray. If you watch my 50% off sale walkthrough video, then you'll know that I did buy this guy on November 1st for 50% off, and obviously Giant Death Ray was originally retailing for $349.99 at Spirit, so $350, but then about midway through October, Spirit actually put him on sale down to $299, so $300, and during the 50% off sale on November 1st, the 50% off was actually on his sale price tag, so he actually came down to $150 during the after Halloween sale. So I got Giant Death Ray for around $150, which to me is an amazing price tag for a 10-foot animatronic, and even more than that, an outdoor rated animatronic, because if you didn't know, Giant Death Ray is actually one of the outdoor animatronics that Spirit was selling for 2024. As you can see, Giant Death Ray has a pretty large box. It isn't gigantic, like the name suggests, but it definitely is not small by any means. The front, very nice artwork of Giant Death Ray on there. Very standard for an animatronic box. Over on this side, I believe, we have one single image of Giant Death Ray and handles, which is really nice because the box is pretty heavy. On the back here, just says Giant Death Ray and talked about his features, including the fact that he can be used outdoors, which is awesome. And then the other side has two images of Giant Death Ray. Both are kind of close-ups from the waist. And obviously this one is talking about the servo animation that this guy has in his head to create that really fluid and realistic looking head turning animation. I'm super excited to see that today. But there's the box. So without any further ado, let's open up my last animatronic of Halloween 2024. Giant Death Ray. Alright, so here's our very first look inside the box of Giant Death Ray. I can see the instructions right on the top here, as well as his head, which is actually plastic. Okay, I haven't actually felt it before. It is plastic. The head is right there. It looks like a bunch of pulls going on. Some styrofoam there as well. I guess I'll take out the instructions. You can see them right there. Very, again, standard for an animatronic. And there's a better look at all of the pieces inside of Giant Death Ray's box. You can also see the LED strips for the inside of his chest. So, let's unbox them. First up, we have the two pieces for Giant Death Ray's base. And I want to say right now, this is possibly one of the heaviest bases that I've ever seen on a Spirit animatronic. Really, really nice quality with some real weight to it. Obviously, this guy's manufactured by SVI, and this base is really nice quality, so props to them on giving this base a lot of weight. Next up, we have some leg styrofoam. Here we have some pulls, and once again, these are a very heavy reinforced metal. This is Giant Death Ray's clothing bag, and we'll take a closer look at his clothing in a little bit once we get him set up, but it is kind of like a whitish gray color with some creepy cloth on there for his arms. So here is the clothing. Here we have his feet, and these are actually really big. They're a lot bigger than I thought they were going to be for alien shoes. I guess because this guy is so massive, all of his proportions are really, really large, but they are a plastic material, and they have a nice, unique alien foot sculpt in there with some weird-looking toes and a really nice paint job with some gray and kind of pale color. So here are his feet. Here we have the body cavity for Giant Death Ray, and I do want to give you a close-up look at this because it's a really unique piece for an SVI animatronic, not even to mention a Spirit animatronic. It's very different. As you can see, it has some LED strips that are on the front of it. Obviously, that's what creates the chasing LED pattern that turns on when this guy activates. And obviously, the other really cool thing about this are those outdoor rated connections for all of the LED wires. Hopefully you can see that on camera. They are the outdoor like locking connection, so no rain can get in, which is really awesome. And then obviously at the top here, you have the mount for his servo head that simply screws in. And that's all the connection is a screw because it is a servo. So here is Giant Death Ray's body cavity. Here we have his hands, and I do want to give you a close look at these as well because they're actually really, really cool. And although they're kind of simple sculpts and very SVI looking hands, I love the paint job on them and just the boniness of the fingers and the length of his fingers. And also they're huge. I mean, look at that. It's about the size of my whole face and head, the size of one of his hands. Really awesome looking. And again, his fingers are so creepy. Some snap lock connections on there. And obviously they light up as well, which I feel like I never noticed like really much during the season, but they do light up, which is awesome in the dark. And they have those outdoor connections as well on them. So here are his hands. Of course, we have to take a look at the most important part for Giant Death Ray, and that would be his head. And here it is, the full face and head for Giant Death Ray. This thing is so cool looking in person. Honestly, for some reason, it looks different on camera, I feel like, than how it looks in person. It's a lot darker in real life. The whole paint job, I feel like the camera tries to brighten it up because it's very pale looking. But I love the paint job and the sculpt on it. The nose is really cool with that skeletal-like nose. And the black paint job on it, the pale white eyes, and then the black for the teeth and inside of the mouth. Really cool looking alien. Obviously, it's very simple and very generic, general for a alien looking face. But I love the paint job on it. Really just pale and creepy and odd looking. Really, really enjoy it. Obviously, it's got the servo mount on there because this is a servo head animation. And it looks like 3 wires. Kind of a lot for one single animatronic head. But here is the face for Giant Death Ray. Here we have the control box, and I do want to point out that yes, it does have the outdoor caps on there. So again, definitely outdoor rated because he's got all of the fixings of an outdoor animatronic. But here is his control box. Finally, out of the box, we have the 2 arms for Giant Death Ray, and of course, they also have some LED strips in there because they light up as well. And then obviously, we have his outdoor rated adapter right here. And then something that was a nice surprise out of the box that I really did not expect this guy to come with are some ground stakes. So really, really nice inclusion in there. Always nice when you get ground stakes with an animatronic, as opposed to having to go out and buy them separately. It looks like he does come with 4 of them. Really, really nice metal ground stakes. And those are all the pieces out of the box. All right, so here we are with all the pieces taken out of the box for Giant Death Ray. And we can now begin the setup. For the very first step, we're going to take the 2 very large pieces for his base, and we are going to connect these together. According to the instructions, the piece labeled B should be the one that is in the front. So we're simply going to line up the 3 connections on the 2 pieces here, and then it'll snap lock in on the 2 outer sides. So we're just going to simply slide them and snap lock it in just like that to make his big base. Now we're going to go ahead and take the 2 poles that are labeled as C, and these are the completely straight poles, and snap lock these right into the base with the 2 parts that are going up on the base there. So simply snap lock them right in. At this point, we'll slide on Giant Death Ray's feet, and obviously you want to make sure you put the right foot on the right leg and the left foot on the left leg so that the big toe is facing towards the inside. So we're simply going to slide those right over top of the base. Now we'll go ahead and add on the D poles, and this one on mine is actually labeled as D left. So obviously that's going to go on the left side, and then this one isn't actually labeled at all. So I'm just going to assume that it is the one to go on the right side. Not sure if it's supposed to be or not, but either way, it is the other pole, so we'll snap lock that right in. For the next step, we'll go ahead and add on the styrofoam leg foam that goes right over top of all of these poles. So obviously you're just going to simply slide it right over top and make sure that the styrofoam goes all the way to the bottom. So there's the first leg. We'll then take the other piece of styrofoam and put it over his left leg, obviously making sure that it doesn't tear or rip or anything like that. If it does, technically it's okay, but you don't really want it to. So slide it right down to the bottom of his feet, just like so. For the next step, we will add on his clothing. And I will say right now, obviously I'll talk about this more in the review portion of this video, but the clothing is indeed a nice outdoor quality, almost like a plasticky sort of clothing. Very, very nice, but obviously we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So you're just going to find the legs. Obviously, also you want to make sure that the hole in the shirt that's for the sensor is facing the front of the animatronic. That'll help you figure out the placement of how to put the pants on. So it is actually an entire suit. It's the entire clothing piece here. So this will be a little bit tricky, but we will just slide it right over top of the legs here on both of them, making sure that there are no rips or anything like that. So bring it right down to the bottom of the leg fold. Next up, we're going to attach piece E, which is the control box piece. So we're just going to attach this right to the poles from before, the upper support poles. It's a little bit tricky because they don't line up perfectly, but I think I got it okay. And we will snap lock this piece right onto the poles. Of course, we can go ahead and plug in the adapter to the control box at this time, making sure that the weather cap is fully tightened over the control box connection so that no rainwater can get into it. And then you want to take the adapter itself and we want to run this through his pant leg and all the way down the leg so that it comes down out at the foot. At this point, the instructions recommend that you lay the assembly down on a box so that you can build him kind of like laying down and easily on the floor. I understand doing that with 12-footers. However, with this guy being 10 feet tall, I feel like it's okay to just use a stepping stool like I'm using or a small ladder to build him vertically rather than laying him down and then having to pick him up once he's fully assembled. So I'm just going to build him vertically. So at this point, we're going to attach the body cavity by simply snap locking it on right to the top of the pole here. At this point, obviously, you're going to want to take a screwdriver and undo the screw that is all the way at the top of the servo mount. You don't want to take the screw out, but just loosen it a little bit so that we can do the next step. For the next step, obviously, we're going to attach the head of Giant Death Ray. And the reason we unscrewed the screw was so that it could fully slide in just like so for the servo mount. So once the head is fully slid on, we will take the screwdriver again and screw that screw back in so that the head is secure. I'm not going to film myself doing that, but obviously make sure that the head is fully secure. At this point, we can connect the wires that are coming from the body cavity to the control box. So the first one is one of these little yellow connections that has, it looks like 3 prongs in there. So obviously we're going to connect it and push it all the way in to make sure that outdoor protection is on there. And then it looks like there's also a white connection as well. So we will go ahead and plug this in and push the connection as tightly together as we can there. I believe those are all of the connections for this step. We'll bring up the clothing on Giant Death Ray at this point. So again, a little bit tricky because this is such a tall animatronic, but simply bring up the shirt over the whole body cavity as high as we possibly can. I honestly would recommend using a ladder that's a little bit taller than the stepping stool that I'm using because this is a little bit tricky, but we're going to want to bring it all the way to the top here, and then we can do one of the Velcros. Don't do all of them because we still have some connections to make and the control box, but do one of the Velcros so that it stays. It doesn't have to be perfect yet. We just want the shirt to be on. I actually brought the clothing down just a little bit for the next step, and this is so that we can attach his arms. So first off, you're going to take piece M, which is his right arm, slide it all the way up his sleeve, and at this point, we're going to attach it right to the right arm piece here. If we can line it up properly. Line it up just like so, and we will snap lock it right in. Again, it is piece M. Of course, we'll go ahead and do the exact same step before Giant Death Ray's left arm. So slide it all the way through his sleeve, and we will snap lock it on right to his arm bracket here. Now at this point, We can bring his shirt back up. Obviously, you can also adjust the creepy cloth in whatever way you would like, but make sure the arm is attached. We can't forget the hand, so I'll do that right now. Obviously, we're just going to simply snap lock these right onto the spaces, the brackets for the hands, and we'll also go ahead and connect the wires here, matching the yellow for the hand. You'll then obviously hide the wire inside the sleeve and bring it down over to his hand and Velcro it right on. Same thing for his right hand. We will snap lock it on, make the connection for yellow to yellow, and then hide it inside of his sleeve and bring the clothing down to match the Velcro right on his hand. At this point in the setup, I'm just going to make sure that all of the wires are connected because trust me, with Giant Death Ray, there really are a lot of them. So just take one quick look at the back of the control box here and make sure that all of the wires are connected, matching colors to colors, including from the control box to the arm so that the hands will light up as well as the arms themselves. So just make sure that all of the wires are connected. So finally, with your last steps of assembly for Giant Death Ray, there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you want to make sure that the sensor on the inside is Velcroed to the little hole in his clothing right here, so that he will activate by the sensor mode. And then finally, the last major step that you need to do is Velcro the neck clothing all the way at the top there. Obviously, I did already do that, but just make sure that it is Velcroed at the top so that it is covering up the little mount for the head up there so that you can't see it. And then finally, if you're going to be using this guy outdoors, you can of course use those ground stakes that he comes with by simply attaching them to the base. And once you've done all of that, your assembly with Giant Death Ray is officially complete. Alright, so here he is, the Spirit Halloween 2024 Giant Death Ray animatronic, assembled in all of his glory. But before I give you my thoughts on him, let's take a look at the demos. Alright, so you just saw the demos for my Spirit Halloween 2024 Giant Death Ray animatronic, and overall, I have to say that I am very happy with this animatronic. Now, I want to start off my review by saying that I was not the biggest fan of Giant Death Ray when we first saw his sneak peek video. I definitely wasn't someone that hated the animatronic, but aliens aren't really my thing, and when we first saw him, I kind of thought that he was just a alright, okay animatronic, nothing that was really on my radar. Obviously, November 1st came, he was 50% off from $300 down to $150, and I couldn't resist the urge to picking this guy up, because even though he wasn't my favorite animatronic of the season, he's a massive prop, and he's also outdoor rated, so I couldn't pass him up for only $150. And here we are on November 6th, with Giant Death Ray. Now, I have to say, after putting this guy together myself and seeing him up close in person like this, I kind of have a newfound appreciation for Giant Death Ray because I was really impressed with his quality. That's the first thing. But also, I'm seeing how truly massive this animatronic is. Obviously, he stands at 10 feet tall, but he's a very, very skinny animatronic, and very bony looking. That's kind of the alien that Spirit and SVI were going for with Giant Death Ray. And I love the fact that he's this super tall creature that has really, really skinny proportions, because it makes him really creepy looking. And in the dark with that lighting effect, he looks like such an odd monster that is like an alien we've never seen before in the market. And I just love the fact that he's super tall, but also super skinny. This guy's animation is really cool. I love the servo head that he has, where he can look around in all sorts of different directions, because with him being this tall, I love the fact that he can look up even taller or down at the person in front of him. I always love servo head animations, and I think it was a great use on Giant Death Ray. I will say I sort of wish that he had a little bit more animation. I would have loved for an arm animation with one of the arms or both of the arms moving up and down. That would have been really a simple addition, but I think it would have been awesome and even more added to the character. However, for what he has with the servo head, I still think it's awesome, and once again, a very cool little integration for Giant Death Ray. Finally, of course, the lighting effects are a big part of this animatronic, and I have to say, I was really impressed with them seeing them in person, and I feel like video doesn't really do them justice, because they look a lot cooler when you're standing right in front of this guy, and more specifically, when it's dark outside. I love the lighting effects, and I really love the fact that his hands light up, because the lighting is in his entire body, in the arms, and then it even lights up in his palms. It's a really, really cool effect. And once again, in the darkness, it's a really, really awesome looking LED. And I love the fact that this animatronic does not require other lights to be shown on him in order for him to be impressive. He has an entire light show already built in. And I have to say that while I wasn't a huge fan of the lighting when we first saw this animatronic, I think it's really awesome seeing it up close in person, and especially seeing it in the dark. But overall, I am very happy with Giant Death Ray. Of course, I got him for 50% off on November 1st for around $150, which I think is an amazing price tag for an animatronic that was originally $349.99 at $350. I love this guy's quality. I think both Spirit and SVI knocked it out of the park with making an outdoor animatronic. And like I said, I really, really hope that we get more outdoor animatronics from Spirit in the future, because SVI has gotten really, really good at it. And Giant Death Ray is a perfect example of how you make an awesome outdoor rated animatronic. But I guess, remember, as always, for everything scary, I'm GMHaunts. I'll see you guys later for more Halloween 2025 videos. Goodbye.